Hello and welcome. I am Jay, and I realize that on this series I have done a look at the present state of gaming, as well as a look into the future. So now I wanted to do a little bit of a glimpse into the past. To begin with, we have all heard a very common lament from older folks, myself included in that things were better back in the old days. From movies, music, and video games, apparently all of these things were just far better into the past. Why is this a feeling that older generations seem to continue voicing? Is it true? Is it just a fantasy that they have built for themselves, a fault in their perspective, if you will? I believe the answer to be both. Sort of. My first home console was a Super Nintendo. The first game I played on it was Super Mario World. In point of fact, playing Super Mario World on stream a little over a month ago was what inspired this very episode. I bring this up because I have very strong feelings towards Super Mario World and other games of that era. Earthbound, Super Mario RPG, Star Fox, Tetris 2, Yoshi's Island, ActRaiser, Super Metroid, Mario Kart, and far more. I played all of these games on original hardware in front of a 24-inch CRTV when I was a kid. These games invoke great nostalgia in me. And that is the simple answer. Nostalgia. That is why old games are better. It's not because they actually are. Graphics, physics, mechanics, controls have all drastically improved since I started gaming. It is because they are nostalgic that I continue to enjoy them. It has been said that you don't miss these old games so much as you miss the way you felt when you played them. Those carefree days of you spent with a controller in your hand, trying to beat a level, or your sibling in a game if you were playing two-player. This, though, is where I beg to differ. While nostalgia and wishing for the carefree life of a child is part of it, I don't think it's all of it. To make my point a little more clearly, I need to go into the nature of firsts. People say that you never forget your first, and they're right, you don't. This applies to everything. Movies, music, books, video games, love, even. The first thing you view or listen to is what you, for better or worse, are going to compare everything else against. Let me give you a little example. How many times has the trope of an old person complaining about the young'uns and their newfangled music been pulled out, than just to have that complaint laughed off? The problem is, when they are laughed off, any explanation about why they are saying that is lost. The truth is, it is most likely that they have already heard these songs before. But Jay, how can they have heard these songs before if they're new? I'm so glad you asked. As I have stated, I am old-ish. I have heard many, many songs. I can tell you from that experience, there are only so many ways to arrange notes together that are pleasing to the ear. There are only so many compelling stories that can be written. I have heard music that sounds exactly like songs that I have heard 10 or more years ago. I've also heard songs that use lyrics telling almost the exact same story. So when I listen to these new songs, they're not exactly new to me. They just sound like a copy of something that I have already heard before. This applies to all the things I listed above. The main point of my channel is games, so I will continue along that line. There are only so many ways to rescue a princess, or beat up a bad guy. Only so many times you can blow up a building or traverse a mountain range before it all just reminds you of the first time you did those things. I played Tears of the Kingdom. I love the game, it's fun, but I still have Ocarina of Time rolling around in my skull. I play Super Mario Odyssey, but I still remember Super Mario RPG. I play Grand Theft Auto 5, but I still remember Grand Theft Auto 5. That might be a bad example. These games not only have the weight of nostalgia behind them, but also the benefit of having been my first Zelda game or my first 3D Mario game. Not only do I have the relatively care and bill-free days of my youth to help them seem more fun, but I also had no experience with games like those before I played them. They were new, magical in a way that I had never experienced before. Tears of the Kingdom is actually a great example of this. Many people who have played Breath of the Wild say that Tears of the Kingdom feels like DLC for Breath of the Wild, which is semi-true. But to me, almost every Zelda game feels like DLC to Ocarina of Time. They all play roughly the same, and have basically the same plot. I'm not complaining. They are all wonderful, and I have enjoyed my time with each. It's just that they're not my first Zelda game. Even when graphics, mechanics, or physics improve, it all just feels like a copy of what I have already played before. The reason I go back and play these games is not just the desire to feel like a kid again. It is to relive my first experience with these games in that genre or series. It is why I played Super Mario World on stream. It's why I played Earthbound on stream. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, by the way. Not only to relive my youth, but also to relive my first time with these tropes, these characters, these genres, these stories. To feel that sense of wonder again. This is also why most remakes, something the world is being flooded with at the moment, flop. This is more true for movies than it is with video games. Video games require input from the player to help progress the story, so by their very nature, each playthrough is inherently different. Movies, on the other hand, always play out the same and tend to be ruined when people try to fix them. The younger generation, younger than me, will have new firsts, and the generation younger than them will have even different ones. This is where I try to bring everything to a point. I think people get too caught up in what is good or the actual original. There is actually a good meme for this. I'll throw it up on screen now. We can trace almost all art or stories back thousands of years and argue about what is better or who did what, or we can just enjoy things. To the younger people watching, understand that when an old hat like myself is complaining about new stuff, it isn't because it's bad. It's just because it all feels like a knockout or a knockoff to us. It just feels like a cheap copy. And to my peers, if you are listening, first, stop complaining about everything. You'll be a happier person in general if you do that. But understand that the youngsters don't have the same experiences we do. They haven't played these games, listened to these songs, watched these movies. They don't know. Instead of telling them how their music or games suck, try giving them a recommendation. If you like this, you could try this over here. That would help things go over a little smoother and help the things that we loved as kids survive. And that's about it. Thank you for listening. This one didn't really have a large, overarching point to the end, but I did want to share my thoughts on this. I haven't really heard anyone else talk about this particular side of the issue before. I've heard a lot of people talk about nostalgia, but I haven't heard a lot of people talk about what it means to have something be your first in regards to media. Maybe I'm wrong about that. If somebody has talked about it in this way, share it with me. I would love to see it and listen to it or watch it. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, maybe like, subscribe. If you'd like to see more, let me know. Thank you very much. I hope to see you next time. Bye.